McBride, Bowers, Loveland, Kraft, Fannin, Warren, Laporta, Pitts, Kincaid, Gadsden, Ferguson, Johnson. That's who we have inside the top 12 right now. I would agree, not even knowing if Jacoby Brissett is going to be the quarterback, I would agree that we leave Trey McBride at number 1. I will leave Brock Bowers at number 2, assuming which Fernando Mendoza is drafted number 1 overall. I would leave Trey McBride and Brock Bowers at 1 and 2. I could switch them too. McBride has more upside than Bowers. Bowers, as of right now, not knowing what the quarterback situation is, Bowers might be safer. You could argue that. Loveland at 3 is spicy. It is. Without knowing what is going on with DJ Moore right now, I think Loveland at 3 is it's spicy, but I don't hate it. Tucker Kraft at 4 is difficult for me, not knowing when he'll be back and healthy. Harold Fannin Jr. and Tyler Warren, personally, right now, I would be okay with going Harold Fannin Jr. over Tucker Kraft for sure. I am going to go Tyler Warren over Tucker Kraft as well right now. I know we don't know who the quarterback is going to be for Indianapolis, but we know Tyler Warren is going to be out there barring a preseason injury or offseason injury. Tyler Warren will probably be 100% to begin the year, where Tucker Kraft probably isn't. I would leave Tucker Kraft and Sam Laporta at 6 and 7. If Tyler Warren were to get a significant upgrade at the quarterback position, so say we go with Malik Willis. Depending on the quarterback position, if we get a reliable quarterback in Indianapolis or a dynamic quarterback in Indianapolis, Tyler Warren probably goes above Colston Loveland for me. If DJ Moore were to be traded, then Colston Loveland would go back to 3. Harold Fannin Jr., I think if you want safety, I go Harold Fannin Jr. at 3 and Colston Loveland at 4. If you want upside, then you leave it as is. Colston Loveland at 3, Harold Fannin at 4. I will leave Tucker Kraft and Sam Laporta at 6 and 7 while we await to hear more injury news from both of them. Kyle Pitts at number 8. If Atlanta tags him and brings him back, then Kyle Pitts for me, if Kirk Cousins remains as quarterback, Kyle Pitts would go above Sam Laporta and Tucker Kraft. If we find out that Tucker Kraft is 100% to start the season, then Tucker Kraft would bounce all the way up to number 3 for me. If we find out that Sam Laporta is 100% to start the season, Sam Laporta would sit at probably tight end 5, maybe tight end 4. Dalton Kincaid at number 9. I've got no issue with leaving him there. Dude could break out, though, sooner rather than later. Oronde Gadsden at number 10 is interesting. I don't hate putting him inside the top 12. Keenan Allen shouldn't be back. Jake Ferguson at number 11. Juwan Johnson at number 12. I'm okay with both of those guys. Kittle, there is a scenario in which George Kittle doesn't play in 2026. There is a scenario where George Kittle does not play a down in 2026. I think your best case scenario, your best hope is maybe he can play limited snaps halfway through the season. Mark Andrews is interesting. Mark Andrews is interesting for me because Isaiah Likely could end up being gone. If he is, I don't think that's a terrible thing. I don't think it necessarily hurts him if Isaiah Likely stays, because Isaiah Likely hasn't really done much of anything so far. Every once in a while, he has a huge game, and then he's gone for the other 14 weeks after that, and then has one more at the end of the season. Travis Kelce, I think, is interesting if he returns to Kansas City, but it also depends on who his quarterback ends up being. Dallas Goedert's a free agent, so it'll be interesting to see where he potentially lands. Because I think if he lands in the right situation where he can get a solid amount of volume, then Dallas Goedert at that point kind of pops into, for sure, inside that top 12 atmosphere. You'd have to wonder how Dallas Goedert would fare with like a Minnesota. TJ Hawkinson could be a cap casualty. Maybe you sign Dallas Goedert and bring him in. I would say probably not. They probably go for a lower tier tight end free agent. What if Dallas Goedert were to go to Tennessee? Let's talk about that. A what if scenario. Let's say Dallas Goedert goes to Tennessee and lands with Cam Ward. I think it's conceivable to say that he's locked inside the top 12. I think it's a potential top 10 or 5 option at that point because of the amount of volume he's going to get. The amount of volume that Dallas Goedert could get with a team like Tennessee. I'd love to see that. I think Tennessee needs to add a playmaker for Cam Ward. Alec Aomanor, Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley could be a cap casualty. There are some guys that I think are solid in Tennessee, but Chiggy Oko is also a free agent. He hasn't really been utilized all that much, but you never know with a new coaching staff how that turns out. He's a restricted free agent. Jake Tonjes is. That was my question. I would be willing to bet that he lands back in San Francisco. I think Jake Tonjes is a sneaky top 12 option. Yeah, TJ Hawkinson could land as a veteran contract on a team. I think he's going to get cut in Minnesota. I think they try to save some money there. But I do think that they're going to have to add somebody back. You know, the one person that I'll kind of throw in there that we need to keep our eye on is Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon. Will be a first round pick. I think there is a chance he goes in the top 10. You know, if you've been around for a while, you know how I feel about drafting tight ends that high. You know. For me personally, I don't know if I'm drafting him in the top 10. He's a first round pick though, and I think he is comparable to Colston Loveland in terms of he can block, but he is an uber athlete after the catch. He actually might be more of an athlete than Colston Loveland, honestly. And Loveland is as good as it gets after the catch. Sadiq is a guy that blocks well, but he has the strength of a tight end and the agility of a wide receiver. When you talk about what the Atlanta Falcons did with Kyle Pitts and moving him from tight end to wide receiver, if you talk about former Michigan tight end Devin Funchess, he moved to wide receiver and then ended up playing wide receiver in the NFL. When you talk about guys that played at the tight end position and then kind of moved to wide receiver, Kenyon Sadiq is a guy that I think would be the best at doing it, and he could still block. Very good. When you watch the film on Sadiq, you see a hyper athlete. Penn State did a lot of things with Tyler Warren where they would line him up in the backfield. They'd put him in the slot. They would do end arounds with him and things like that. And they were highly successful with Tyler Warren. Kenyon Sadiq did the same thing at Oregon. Or they were I don't know what I said there about Tyler Warren. They were effective with him at Penn State. But if they were to have done things like that with Kenyon Sadiq would have been just an absolute monster to try and stop. Sadiq is very good. I'm going to give you kind of the top 12 that we talked about. Let me know what you're thinking. Trey McBride at 1, 2 Brock Bowers, 3 Colston Loveland, 4 Harold Fannin, 5 Tyler Warren, 6 Tucker Kraft, 7 Sam Laporta, 8 Kyle Pitts, 9 Dalton Kincaid, 10 Oronde Gadsden, 11 Jake Ferguson, 12 Juwan Johnson. What teams do I think draft Sadiq? I don't think the Rams do. They've used some draft capital at the tight end position recently. I don't think that they would add Sadiq at 14. I also think there's a really good chance Sadiq is gone before then. I think the Denver Broncos would be a good fit for Sadiq, but he won't fall that far. If if Travis Kelce decides to retire, could be a great fit for Kansas City, especially considering we don't know what's going to happen with Rashee Rice. Dallas Goedert walks and Philadelphia trades A.J. Brown, Sadiq to Philadelphia, I think is a really good fit. There's a couple of websites that have Tampa Bay listed as needing a tight end, and I feel like that's a bit much. I think Washington for Sadiq is a good fit, but I would rather, if for some reason Jeremiah Love is still there, I would much rather have them go with Jeremiah Love. And if for some reason Sadiq isn't there when if for some reason Love isn't there when Washington comes up, I think you have to work on your defense before you draft a tight end that high.
Analytics, all the chain, all the channels, not the same.